right, disclosure right away. I have been long this stock for a little while. So let's kind of get that going. All right. I work for MicroCap for IPO Candy, so we do this for a living. The IPO market's been a little slow, so we've been looking back at IPOs and new issues from happier days to find ones that are busted, but underneath that have a business that is actually improving. So CuriosityStream, I'll tell you a little bit about the business, which I don't really care that much about. It's a streaming company. They have things like documentaries. That's their specialty. It was founded by the guy who did Discovery Channel, and there's a whole backstory to it. They were a capital incineration machine in 2021, 2022, I think on the order of a couple $100 million. But for those of you that have ever looked at the pizza business, it's not the guy who starts the pizzeria that makes all the money, it's the guy who buys the pizzeria after he goes out of business. So this is an opportunity to own this content library in the business after they've burned through all that money. More to the point, even the content was terrible. It was all sort of supernatural ESP. I mean, it was dreadful. Declining revenue, mega losses, like I said, capital incineration with a capital C. So why care now? Well, you know, near and dear to our hearts, I'm easily bribed with positive cash flow and recognize that they've done this with no growth, pretty much. It's been fairly stable. It's a $4.99-ish kind of monthly subscription. So there's a couple things in addition to cash flow that are exciting. The content's definitely better. I would put it in the good category. There's a lot of science there, a lot of physics, a lot of space. They have guys like Brian Greene, they have Peter Attenborough. You know, it's not terrible. So that's good. They have $39 million in cash on the balance sheet without any debt. And I personally love a dividend. It's around 5-ish%. That's great for tax-free accounts, especially because you get to get paid. Now, the whole reason I am focused on this company is for the AI. I don't really, like I said, I don't care about the business. But video content is incredibly important for training AI models to do most of what you see in the entertainment world. It's all those video sequences and movies, for the most part, are filmed in front of a green screen. So they're all generated by computers, even real content that you see. So I'll get to that a little bit on the next slide. Consensus estimates are way too low for this year. We'll go through that a little bit when we get to the model. And importantly for me in microcap land is this is a company that's got actual analyst coverage. So success will actually be recognized and you'll get a higher stock price. Nancy Martin, for instance, at Needham covers this stock. And as we'll see when we look at the numbers, you know, the valuation, even though the stock has been trending up, it's still got at least probably 50 to 100% upside from here. So let's talk a little bit about why this AI content business is so interesting. So they're going to do, you know, 15 million or more in AI content licensing. So when you want to train, I don't know how many of you have used a tool like Sora, which is by OpenAI, but there are others. So essentially what you can do is you create a scene, right? But you can use AI to transform all the elements of the digital scene automatically. So what would take months and in some cases armies of people with very high-end Mac computers and a lot of Adobe tools and software, few months, in some cases millions of dollars, this content can be generated much faster with far fewer people, in order of magnitude or two cheaper. But the only way you can do that is you got to train the models on actual video content. And these guys own a lot of content. I think it's around 300,000 pieces of content that they license by the hour. So that's the story for them with AI. There's another aspect of AI that matters. They have a fairly substantial international business that I'm not expecting any exciting growth out of, but because AI can do a very good job of internationalization, they can dub that international content into all the different languages. There's a reasonable chance that international revenue might actually grow faster than it has the last couple of years, but remains to be seen whether or not that's the case. So this is how we look at stocks. This is a very naive model, so we're not, we'll publish a more detailed quarterly model after they report this quarter. They've been depreciating their content library, which is a good thing to do. It's you get stars for that, but actually their content library is getting more valuable, although they're depreciating it. So I think the asset value with the cash is probably around 140 million. The stock's up a little bit from the day I sent this in, I think it was Friday. But like I said, consensus is way too low. As I was putting this presentation, they announced a $7 million AI content licensing deal that will close this quarter. So that's 7 million in this quarter, and that's not, the end. So, so I think consensus is low. I peg this thing at, let's call it $4 or $5 a share this year. The company's worth more dead than alive, so they do plan to sell it. I think as an asset, once you strip out the content acquisition, things like that, it's probably a $6 or $7 at least value in even a non-competitive sort of M&A environment. So I think there's plenty of upside to it. And when they report Q1, which they did, essentially give guidance Q1, this is going to be normal, no one's going to care about it, but they'll talk about this licensing deal, Q2, estimates will go up, earnings will go up, all those good things will happen. So, so I think this CuriosityStream has got a ways to go, and I love it for the AI piece. There is a question that I'll anticipate, which is what's the duration on the AI revenues, right? You license it, you train, well, we don't need it anymore. Well, you do kind of need it because they're acquiring new content, and you want that new content to be added to the training library, so they're getting into more like combat content, things like that. But the other thing is, once you train a model, when you want to train a different model using a different type of tokenization or whatever it may be, you need that content again to retrain that model. So just because you trained a model once, you need to train a new model again, and you need this content again. So I think that there's going to be a recurring nature to the AI licensing business. And, I didn't know the Pope was going to pass away. God bless his soul. I don't think I need to say that. But they also own a few other assets, like a Catholic. They own, they're the leading Catholic content channel. And we've seen kind of a surge of interest in some of that stuff in Europe. So there's a lot of little wild cards here that could play out that could make my current valuation expectations conservative. But that's CuriosityStream.